Hey y'all, Rhea here with you once again. Thanks so much to those of you who watched the last video and commented and asked questions. So to recap, we covered the 5 M's of building a fundraising program from scratch. The 5 M's to recap is number 1, mindset, number 2, message, number 3, market, number 4, methodology, and number 5, management. If we get these 5 elements dialed in, we've created a foundation for a killer fundraising program that should carry you through to at least $2 million per year and more. What I've shared with you is basic, and you can find these elements in fundraising departments that are raising $1 million or $100 million. This is the basic DNA of a fundraising program. In this video, I'm going to share a little bit more of a deep dive on the first M, which is mindset. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, why is this the first step? I want to know how to find my donors and craft a message and get going. Well, we start here because everything starts with you and your own motivations and intentions about money. So you should watch this video if you, number 1, have never taken the time to examine your assumptions about money. Number 2, the thought of being in a donor meeting with a high net worth donor makes you squirm. Or number 3, you've never really done an ask higher than 4 figures. Before we get started, I wanted to introduce you to a really simple conceptual framework that I like to use in a lot of my trainings. We see circumstance, which leads to your beliefs, which leads to your feelings, which lead to your actions, which then lead to your outcomes, and then your outcomes determine your circumstance. So what that means is that when we say we feel a certain way about something, it's because we often have a thought or perception about it, whether we're aware of it or not. That feeling then leads us to take action or not, which then leads to the outcome, which then reinforces the circumstance that we're experiencing. A simple example might be you wake up in a bad mood, wrong side of the bed, and the belief that you may have unconsciously is that, oh, the world is against me. The feeling is that you are just like in a bad mood all day, and the actions that you take, or maybe that you're mean to your dog, I don't know, whatever it may be. And then the outcome is that the world is relating to you in a negative way. So let me walk through another simple example to illustrate how this works. So let's say that I'm being chased by a bear. The feeling that I have is I'm frightened, which means that the action I take is I start running for my life. The outcome is that I get away and all is well. But the missing link here is that we haven't examined my beliefs about it. So the belief that I had unconsciously was that the bear was out to eat me or harm me in some kind of way. However, if it was my pet bear or if I were a bear trainer, perhaps my belief would have been different, which is that maybe my bear just wanted to cuddle. Therefore, my feelings about that situation would have been different and my actions and my outcomes would therefore be different. So I'm going to walk you through another example, which is much more relevant to fundraising. And then I'm going to invite you to take this model for yourself and apply it and to examine your own unconscious beliefs about money. So let's look at the circumstance. The pure circumstance is I have unexamined baggage about money. The thing I want to say about circumstances is that they're neither good or bad. They're simply neutral. They're simply factual. They are. It can be as factual as, somebody is holding a gun to my head or a bear is chasing me. That is factually true. It's really just my beliefs and my feelings and actions and outcomes about the situation that dictate what happens in that situation. So for the sake of this conversation, let's say I have unexamined baggage about money. So when I think about money, what feelings are coming up for me? Maybe I feel anxious and maybe I feel stressed about it, but I don't really know where these feelings are coming from until I start to think about my unconscious beliefs about money. And sometimes because our beliefs are unconscious, it's hard to know how to access them. So feelings are often an indicator of where these beliefs come from. Feelings don't lie. So perhaps my feelings of anxiety and stress is the belief that money is scarce and there's not enough of it to go around. So I often use this example in my trainings, which is even though my own childhood was a very stable middle class upbringing, both my parents grew up quite poor. And so the messages I always received about money were that money is scarce, money doesn't grow on trees, we can't afford that, there's not enough to go around. And so I had absorbed this assumption in my life, and it really impacted me as a fundraiser until I was able to uncover a lot of my unexamined biases about money, which is namely that I attributed money to safety. And so the problem was when I was fundraising and asked people for money, unconsciously, I believed that I was asking them to give up their safety or their stability for their family. And it wasn't really until I realized that not everybody thinks that way about money that I was able to be a really effective fundraiser. In other words, I stopped projecting my own baggage about money onto other people. And listen, we all have baggage about money, so there's no judgment here. Anyway, to get back to the model. Let's say that you have a belief that money is scarce and there's not enough of it to go around, or maybe your belief is that it's really hard to fundraise, or maybe your belief is people with money are different, better, or out of your reach. In any case, that belief leads to that feeling, which leads to the action. And maybe the action is that you are overworked and constantly feeling like you're desperate to close a deal. Every deal feels like a do or die for you. And the outcome might be is that you raise the money, but at great personal cost to yourself. So let's walk through another example of how we might change our beliefs about this and possibly then change the outcome. So again, same circumstance, I have unexamined baggage about money, but maybe I can choose to believe that there are enough resources out there and that I just have to find my community of donors who are excited to support us. That then leads to a feeling of I'm nervous, but I'm determined and I'm excited to meet new people, which then leads to my actions, which is I bring positive energy to a meeting, and meetings become more about connection than a transaction. It's not about closing a deal, it's about opening a relationship. And then finally, the outcome is I've raised the money, so you actually have the same outcome, but the difference is that it doesn't feel draining, that you don't feel like you've had to personally sacrifice something in order to close the deal. So pause this video, and I would like for you to go through this exercise on your own and think about what are the feelings and beliefs that you may have and not even be aware of, and what actions does it cause you to take? So for myself, the actions when I was assuming that people were giving up their security in order to support my organization, I would get very anxious and my voice would start to get tight and I would talk really fast and then I would like step all over the ask. And so think about the actions that your beliefs and feelings are making. And if you're having a hard time filling in any portion of this, you also ask people who maybe have seen you in action. If you've had people who've seen you in asks and can say how you act in them, or you can even think about the outcome, which is a pretty easy way to figure out what has been happening and maybe trace it back from the outcome to the action. So seriously, pause this video and do this activity for yourself. Here is the opportunity for transformation is once you realize and examine your own baggage about money and your own deep-seated beliefs about money, the transformation that you can take is that you can choose to believe different things. You can interrupt your thought patterns. Often what we think is what we think about. And so this is an opportunity for you to interrupt your own thought patterns and belief patterns about money and fundraising. And by the way, this model works for anything in your life. As Henry Ford once said, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So here's some questions I get. Number one, sounds a little woo-woo, Rhea, does it work? And admittedly, as a Northern Californian, I do tend to get a little bit woo-woo. What I would say to that is every athlete and accomplished person knows your mindset and attitude are a determinant of success or failure. So obviously, this doesn't mean that you can sit around and just think about being successful. You must take persistent and intense action to achieve results, but it all starts with the belief that it is possible and about your attitude that it is possible. Remember, I've said 80% of fundraising success is all in your mindset, 20% in tactics. So if rejection or embarrassment or setbacks keep you from asking, then you'll never build your dreams. Number two, so I should just decide to feel a certain way. No, you can't just decide to feel a certain way. Feelings are feelings, and for those of us who've tried to repress feelings about a certain thing, feelings bubble up whether you want them to or not. But what you can decide to change is your thought patterns and your beliefs about a certain thing. And so, as I mentioned before, feelings don't lie, but they do stem from your thought process and your mindset and your beliefs and perceptions about a certain thing. Finally, what does this have to do with fundraising? So at the beginning of the session, we talked about the fact that fundraising starts with you. You can build around you, but as the leader of your organization, people are going to be looking to you for direction and guidance and leadership about how you think about money and will behave accordingly. So the most important work that we can do together is you as the leader, your mindset about money. So I'll be putting out another video in a couple of days to give you a sneak peek at some of the other 4M elements: message, market, methodology, and management. So this is the very first step in my 5M program. Leave a comment or shoot me an email to let me know what you think or what questions you have. Thanks for watching.